The Two and Out CFL podcast with Travis Currah and Sheldon Jones starts now.
And would you look at that fancy intro on YouTube? A couple Bomber lovers ready to preview Week 15 in the Canadian Football League. That's according to TikTok. Sheldon Jones, that's according to TikTok.
We love the Bombers. We love them so much.
Although
Troy Westwood is my favorite player of all time.
I remember the heel turn I had at the 2019 Grey Cup. It was our second live show at Booker's Barbecue in Calgary. And Brazilian Ty and myself were doing the picks at the end of the night. And I took off my Two and Out shirt to reveal a Canadian Mafia Bomber shirt. And man, that was quite the roar from the audience that day. That was a good little memory. But I want to start the show today. Do you ever have a wardrobe malfunction or something on your face, and you go through about half the day and nobody tells you about it until you discover it yourself in the mirror?
Yes, more than I would like to admit. Yes.
So, this morning I have oatmeal for breakfast, a slice of peanut butter toast, and the way I like the peanut butter is when the toast is still warm and then it gets a little bit liquidy on top. And, well, this gray strip down the middle of my beard had a big old glop of peanut butter in the middle of it. And a glop of peanut butter might not look like peanut butter if it's off the bread. I'm running errands. I go to Pure later. I'm picking up a package. And then I go into the washroom at work. And I've been conversing with all my coworkers. And then this glob of peanut butter is staring back at me in the mirror. Everybody I went and got a coffee, the barista. Maybe that's why they were smiling at me. Like, what a day. What a day. Everybody let me down.
I love that. I love that. That's everyone's so nice.
Yeah, I
make
guess
your day bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Unlike everybody on social media this week. But we'll start. I can't bury the lead any longer. It was announced on Tuesday that Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment and the Buffalo Bills have formed a partnership. Now, we don't know everything that goes into this thing. It seems like the basis of it is to hold football clinics in Canada and grow the game of football, or at least in Southern Ontario. Real Sports in Toronto, which, by the way, I went into that place the day of the 100th Grey Cup. Every table was reserved for NFL Sunday. Not a single mention of the Grey Cup 2 blocks away. 100 Grey Cups. So they're going to now start selling Buffalo Bills apparel. And you know, I watched the press conferences. It feels like the people that were there representing the Buffalo Bills mentioned the Argos more than MLSE did, which is kind of weird to me. I guess there is a lot of layers to this. There's a lot of distrust within the Toronto Argonauts fan base because it's about a month removed from finding out that they're going to have 3 less home games to attend next year. Well, I guess they could go to Hamilton, which is not that bad, but the other 2 are in Regina and Winnipeg. And these fans have been drugged through the mud for many, many years, and I think that fuels a lot of the anger right now, Sheldon.
Yeah, and that's what the MLSE president said that they felt was the best option for Argos fans, which that doesn't make any sense to me. It's the best option for them to get money. That's it. It's purely money because they're going to get the gates. They're going to, they don't have to worry about spending any money to increase capacity at any of those university stadiums that are in proximity, like Guelph, where they are every year. So yeah, it's frustrating. And this partnership, I'm very suspicious of it. I'm not trusting that it's actually going to do that much other than that one Bills game. Sure, we'll see a spike in ticket sales because they're selling cheap tickets and they're selling youth tickets again, which has been a welcome thing for Argo fans. So I see on Twitter. But why aren't they doing that already? Why aren't they selling cheap tickets? I saw that they have a union issue with the people working there are expensive. They get paid well, so that's good for them, I guess. But apparently, people seem to think that it's not conducive to the Argos to have extra people in the stadium to allow more fans, and that just to me is so backwards thinking, in my opinion. And I think it's pretty clear that MLSE likes football, but the football they like is the NFL and not the CFL. And if that's the case, like, I just hope we can soon find some sort of owner who's like a Mardoman, who, has a passion for the league and wants to see it thrive, that can come in there and kind of steer that ship a little better.
The unfortunate part is that I see if there is a different owner that takes over for the Argos, they probably get booted out of BMO. And then
that's fair.
We're back looking for another place for them to play. I am a little bit of the wait and see thing with this. I'm not instantly saying this is going to be garbage. But I understand the the hesitation and the mistrust that has been developed here over several years. Clearly, and you said it, that they said the best, it's all about money, right? And that's why those 3 home games are going to take place in 3 CFL hotbeds, because of money. So how do they benefit from this thing? Like, where's the money coming from? I don't know if that's exactly clear here. Are they going to make that much money by selling Bills merch? I don't know. I think the Bills hurt, probably with all the political things that have been going on this year. Less Canadians crossing the border to go to football games, so they're probably feeling that pinch. It's been said. Go ahead.
Sorry. I think that's the major reason for this. I don't think it has anything to do with. I don't think MLSE reached out to the Bills to do this. I think it's the other way around, because there's something like 10 to 15% of the season ticket holders are Canadian, and they're having, there's a trade war right now, and there's a lot of people who aren't going down there. So I honestly think that this is just a one-way kind of, we're looking to get our Canadians to come back to the Bills games, to be honest.
I've seen a producer with TSN say it. I've seen others say it. Well, let's do those 3 Argos home games in Buffalo next year. Hey, I get it. It's going to have a smaller field. But, hey, 3 games? I'm willing to let that go. And I understand where people are hesitant to trust MLSE in general. It's been proven that they were one of the parties that were pushing for a merger with the XFL. It's been proven that they have been one of the parties pushing for 4-down football in Canada. So I see. I get it. I get why people are mad at this. But yeah, there are, like, if you just look at it objectively, there are a lot of things that bring the Argos and the Bills together, including one of the quarterbacks, current quarterbacks for the Argos, past quarterback, like Doug Flutie. It's interesting. Like Vincent Magri, the head scout that helped those Argos win the Grey Cup last year, assembling that team, assembling the 2022 team, is now a member of the Buffalo Bills. So it's strange how the organizations are tied a little bit that way. I do think that, the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander thing, I know it's a different sport, NBA, coming to Hamilton sells it out. I know he's from Hamilton. But, I mean, if the NFL is going to be the popular game in Southern Ontario, I just see that maybe the Argos can be seen as... I know everybody's concerned that they're going to be looked at as the forgotten little brother or the ugly duckling or whatever it is. But to have the Bills mention, the Argos. And I guess that's where I see it. Maybe there could be some good out of this. If I don't think Josh Allen's going to come wave the Argos flag, at BMO Field. Mm-hmm. But if some things like that start to happen, I'm not convinced that it will. That could be pretty cool,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be. Like, obviously, MLSE is using some money. They're going to be using money to promote because they're having an actual Bills game on October 5th. Like, it's going to be labeled the Bills Bowl or something. And so they're going to be doing a lot of signage and promotion and spending dollars with that Buffalo Bills logo all over it. So I just hope that, like you say, it is reciprocated from the Bills side. Like, I hope, even, having Allen in a walk-up at one game wearing an Argos jersey, like wearing a Chad Kelly jersey, something like that could just give a lot of exposure to the Argos. So if that is something that can happen, cool. I again, all for that. I just, like you said earlier, it's a wait and see to see what kind of layers and depths this partnership is going to actually come down to.
Yeah, and another thing is, I know so many people, they believe that MLSE wants in on the NFL, and it's massive business, but, the franchise fee is $10 billion, and that's before the billions needed to build a stadium. You think about the real estate situation in Southern Ontario, it's wild.
Yeah.
And apparently corporations aren't allowed to own NFL teams currently, unless they've got some sort of inkling that could be changing in the next few years. That's why I don't know what the end game here is for MLSE, and maybe that's why I'm with the wait and see approach,
Yeah, I get it. I hope it works. It just seems to me like this is, if they want to spend a bunch of money on marketing, why can't they just do it on the Argos? Why can't they try that first to see if they can, if they can build their own fan base instead of trying to help the NFL build more fan base in their jurisdiction?
Let's talk about something more positive when it comes to Canadian football players. And Canada's men's flag football national team is off to Panama for the 2025 IFAF America's Flag Football Continental Championship. You remember earlier this summer, Canada went 4-0 at a friendly tournament in Los Angeles in June, including beating Team USA, which had some Americans quite offended about that, which was funny to see. But Paul LaPolice leads the Canadian team. Over the next little while before the Olympics come, we're gonna get him on the show and talk about this. But a familiar name to CFL fans, Michael O'Connor, is the quarterback of the team. He won a Vanier Cup with the UBC Thunderbirds 10 years ago. This is really cool. So the way I understand it, I think they need to finish top 5 at this tournament to get invited to the Worlds in Germany. And then is it the top 11 out of the Worlds that are happening in Germany next August get to go to the Olympics?
Top 6, I believe.
Okay. That makes more sense. The even number there.
Yeah, top 6. So, yeah, hopefully, there is a tough road ahead because, I was listening to Lapo on the 3 Down Nation podcast, and he said, they were able to beat the United States, but obviously that's huge chalkboard material now. Like they're going to be quite fired up for that game. So, and he said that they don't even have film on a few of the teams that they're playing. Like there's no film on them. So, but I believe if you go to the website there, can stream all the games for free, so that's pretty cool too. Hopefully lots of fans are tuning in to check that out.
Yeah, I think the first game is Friday morning. It's at 8 a.m. Eastern against Guatemala, and then later that morning, 11:45 Eastern, they play Brazil. So there you go. You can watch that at ifaf.tv. All those games streamed for free. Sheldon, I want you to get your power rankings. I think it'll be better to go through that now instead of doing that later in the show. We'll mention that the Calgary Stampeders are on bye this week, licking their wounds after that loss to the Edmonton Elks in Week 14, including defensive end Folarin Arimolade being out for the season with an Achilles injury. That sucks to see, Sheldon.
Yeah, he's definitely been one of the bright spots there, helping to make their defense as solid as it's been. So, huge hole that has come up there. And yeah, you said it. They had a tough outing against Edmonton, so they dropped to number 2, with the Riders going up to number 1 in my power rankings this week. And then at 3 with the Bombers and 4 Argos. Number 5 we have the Ticats. 6 we have the Elks moving up. 7 the RedBlacks. 8 the Lions and the Alouettes. Again, they're not doing anything to move up. They, we'll have to see what happens this week against the Riders, but tough sledding in Montreal.
Yeah, it is tough sledding. It's only going to get tougher as they're traveling west to think of my directions to Regina in Week 15. And Week 15 starts in the Hammer, where the Ticats are 7.5-point favorites over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The over-under at 50.5. Here it is Team Ted Knight in the Hammer, supporting some Ted Govaya scholarships there. It's nice to see that those t-shirts that the team has been wearing is now available to fans, and they're going to be throwing a whole lot of support behind them at Hamilton Stadium on Friday night.
Yeah, it's great to see everyone coming together, and yeah, we're all just hoping and praying that Ted's able to get through this, but and hopefully a good game for all those fans that are going to be there.
Yeah, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who Ted Govaya left this offseason to be the GM of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So they're going to be, some people that are going to be able to see him maybe for the first time since going to Hamilton this offseason. So that is going to be a cool moment, I think, for members of that organization. But there's also a big conversation right now, and that has to do with Zach Collaros. And he was knocked out of the Banjo Bowl. And the Bombers have listed it as a head injury. And Mike O'Shea appeared on the Coach's Show with Derek Taylor and CJOB, and in some scrums after practice. He's not very happy with Milt Stegall. And it was just released today, the latest Paper Plate show with Milt Stegall and Davis Sanchez. And they had a 20-minute conversation about this, about the effects that injuries on the field have on lives and the family seeing this happen to players. Yeah, we'll link it here, obviously, and go and watch that. But it's not too surprising, I think, for Mike O'Shea. He's always got this guard up when in front of the microphone, and he's still there, I think, trying to defend his guy. And I'm not so surprised about that, but the temperature is pretty hot right now.
Well, it is, and I think just one of the things that I'm kind of concerned about is it's just maybe like when you give answers, like when you're asked how's Zach doing, and yeah, he's great. Like he's not great. He's missing football because he has a head injury, and I understand you want to take away the focus of that, and you want to kind of scrub it under the mat, but. And I think the biggest thing that he's not a fan of gambling, I don't think, and he doesn't think that it's worth gamblers to get information about players not playing early. So he said that. I think he even said it on the same Coach's Show that I was listening to. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all. He's very nonchalant, and you're never going to get any shred of information out of him if he doesn't want you to get it. So.
Yeah. Now, by the time you hear this, it's possible that the depth charts are out. And at that point, we'll know if they put him on the 6th game, right?
Yeah, that's when we would see if, and we'll have to see, because that's going to be super telling if that's them putting the white flag up, because unless they're going to try to work out a trade for somebody, I don't think there's much hope of Chris Streveler taking them to the playoffs. So again, this is pro ball, and he's going to want to play, I'm sure, as soon as he can, and they're going to want him to play as soon as he's able to. And I hope that his safety and his well-being is the most important thing here. And I hope that people don't rush back to things. But I hear what Siegel said. I see a lot of people agree with him, but at the same time, I don't think any of us have any real right to tell a person when he should or shouldn't be playing. And I think we can all have our thoughts on that, but it's up to him. Him and his family to make that choice. But certainly there's a lot of people who do not want to see him play again, and I understand why.
So this brings us to Chris Streveler getting the start. And I see the confidence in him is waning among Bomber fans. Is he 2-0 in starts this year?
He is. Yeah. I pointed that out to someone on Twitter, like when he was saying that the season was over, and I was like, Streveler has won almost as many games as that.
Yeah, he almost won half the games this year. However, he's 5 touchdowns to 8 interceptions in 2025. And I think where the Bomber fans are at right now is they don't have much confidence in their offensive coordinator, Jason Hogan. I think they expected the fact that he was a running backs coach, and they've got the best player in the CFL that many would call Brady Oliveira, that hasn't consistently committed to that running game. And now they might be forced to commit to that running game, whether they use Streveler or Brady or whoever else to run that ball. You have to think that is going to be the game. But you know what? I think it was week 2 when Strevy got the start, and he had the best probably quarterbacking day we've seen him play, because the teams are expecting them to run every play, and Streveler had a nice outing.
Yeah, we'll have to see here, because Hamilton's they've given up plays, they've given up points, so they have a high-powered offense, but the defense hasn't really been doing their part the last little bit here. So, it's a perfect opportunity for Streveler to come in and try to do something, and Winnipeg to try to change it up. But when you were talking earlier about Hogan and his play calling, like, keep it simple. Like you said, best running back in the league, the best O-line in the league. I know they missed it. They lost a 1 or 2 there, but that's their MO, and it should have been. But when you try to get cute and you try to outcoach and you try to think, oh, they're going to think I'm going to do this, so I'm going to, like, playing 3D chess in your head, like, it's not always going to work that way. Like, just pound the ball with Brady until they stop you, until they force you, and then you can pretend to pound the ball to him and go over top. It's simple.
The Ticats are kind of middle of the pack with rushing yards. It's 103.3 yards a game, but it's pretty tight. Like, Edmonton is 4th best in the league at 95 yards, and Toronto is last at 108 yards. So it's basically 1 first down that separates them, and then Saskatchewan's, kind of heads and shoulders above everybody else. The only team to not give up 1,000 rushing yards yet in 2025 is the Riders. If we go to the Ticats, a lot of eyes on rookie linebacker Kyler Fisher this week. And for good reason. 27 tackles in his last 3 games. I think he had 12 against the Riders a few weeks ago. He had 9 last week against the Alouettes. You have to think he's going to be very busy if the Bombers are going to be running the ball like everybody kind of thinks they will.
Oh, for sure. And it's just good, again, seeing another rookie kind of splash. Like, we've had so much of that this season, so I love seeing that.
And this will be the first game that Kenny the King Lawler will be playing his old team. I guess, again, because, played the Bombers as a member of the Elks, and then, But as a member of the Ticats, playing against the Bombers. And at times, that secondary this year has really struggled. And we saw Bo taking shots to the King early last week in Montreal. Could be seeing maybe some fireworks from those two again against Winnipeg.
Yeah, they were able to kind of hold Saskatchewan to not too much offense in at least the Banjo Bowl, so that was a better outing for them there. But I'd say Hamilton kind of has more firepower than the Riders right now. So and the Riders didn't seem to be going downfield that often. They were playing very conservative on offense for some reason. So we'll have to see what the secondary is able to do, because Hamilton's not going to play assertive. They're going to play aggressive.
Yeah, would you say it's fair that maybe the Ticats would be more willing to go over the top, and the Riders probably have more of a yak game?
Yep, 100%. Yeah, Trevor likes to use those slants just to get yardage and get first downs, run the clock. So, but usually that does set up for a couple explosions, and I do think the Riders actually lead the league in explosion plays as of last week at least. So they do get that. It's just they didn't against the Bombers for whatever reason.
Dietrich Nichols of the Bombers listed as questionable, missed practice on Tuesday, but a full participant on Wednesday. Jamal Parker officially out, and as is receiver Jareth Stearns remaining out for the Bombers. If we look at the Ticats injury report, it's a long one. There's a lot going on there as well, but I think they're going to welcome back Casey Sales on the D-line, has been dealing with a groin injury, so he... Kyler Fisher, Reggie Stubblefield, they're going to have their hands full trying to keep Brady O in check with the Bomber offense. Then we go to the West Coast for the second half of that Friday night doubleheader. You're going to have to stay up late, Sheldon Jones, if you want to watch this live.
I sure am, but there's also AAA live late, so...
How are you going to do it?
Projector and TV.
Oh, okay.
We good.
You're living
but
the life.
Having to stay awake is going to be the actual problem.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes.
The BC Lions, 9.5 point favorites over the team they just lost to a week ago. I get that the RedBlacks, the Eastern team, traveling the late game on the West Coast, it's basically playing at midnight for them or something like that? Or no, it'd be like a 10 o'clock kickoff, so, halftime, maybe midnight Eastern. I am still surprised by that spread, though.
Yeah, it's like, home field is usually 3 points. Like here, I'd say Ottawa, if it was neutral game, would be favored by probably about 3 points after beating them. But so you're saying that this is so much adversity that you're like at 12 points differential right now. Like that it's, this, I haven't been very good at my last few bets that I've done, but this might be one of those games to throw a little money on Ottawa covering that, because that's, especially this year in the CFL, like there's not been many games that have been more than a touchdown difference.
Well, and we'd have to rely on the BC Lions holding on to a lead if they get there. The pattern has been for the RedBlacks, trail and then fight back in the fourth quarter. You'd have to think that they just do not want to do that anymore. They have to get sick of doing that. And then the Lions, on the other hand, getting off to a good start and letting teams get back. So if they get off to a good start, they have to find a way to keep the RedBlacks down, and a BC Lions very familiar name, and I think we can call him a legend now in black and gold, is back with the team. Halfback has been a source of struggle for the BC Lions, and TJ Lee is returning. Played with the team for 10 years. He's third all-time in tackles with the Leos, 584 of them, and 28 interceptions in his career, which is 7th all-time on the West Coast. I would have to think that, he hasn't played all year. There would have to be an adjustment period, or maybe they do just throw him to the wolves. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I would think that maybe defensive back is something that you might be able to slide in a little quicker than like an O-line or a quarterback or running back, just because, it's not as I'd say it's more of a like just general fitness instead of game football fitness, if that makes sense. Just keeping up with the returner or the receiver. But I could be talking about my butt here. Who knows? But good to see TJ Lee back. I questioned why he was released in the first place in the offseason. I after they had him as one of the three main guys in that web series they had last year, I thought, it was great getting to know him. And, I respect that he wore the Guardian cap. I noticed actually in the NFL this week, a lot of players were actually wearing Guardian caps. So very good to see. But, BC, like you said, has a hole at halfback, and hopefully for them, TJ Lee is, in pretty good shape and able to slot right back in there, because they certainly need something.
Yeah, and it's nice to see him, that Arrow Up series last offseason. He fought back from that Achilles injury and got back onto the field, and he's back with the Leos again. Try to help him during this stretch run. They've also signed another DB in Marquise Bridges, who started the season with Winnipeg. You'll remember he had 2 interceptions week 2 against the BC Lions. Well, now he's got a shot here with the Lions here as they continue to shuffle and try to shore up that defense as the season goes on. For the RedBlacks, it does look like Dustin Crum is going to be starting Friday night in Ottawa. Drew Brown may be on the roster dressed as the third stringer, but Dustin Crum is going to try to make some more magic at BC Place on Friday night. It's hard not to cheer for this guy. The amount of punishment he takes, and I keep cringing, but he seems bigger than the guys that are trying to hit him, so maybe there's some science there. He's a smart guy. They were talking about it on the broadcast last week, but man, he takes punishment.
Yeah, he's certainly gained my respect ever since he got back and had that first crumb back game, and he's exciting. And when you see players who are that capable of putting everything on the line just to try to help their team win, you can't help but cheer for somebody like that.
And the over-under at 56.5 here, both teams combining for, if my math is correct, actually, I better not rely on my math. That's panic. 77. Oh, wow, I screwed it up. 67 points a week ago. So, Sheldon, you've recently become a betting man. The over and the RedBlacks to cover. What do you say?
That's probably, if I was to throw a nickel down, that would be a good bet, I think.
There you go. Throw some jelly beans in there, and you might make a few dozen back. I have to think that the Lions are going to get JB going a little bit more here. The RedBlacks, for their credit, they are decent. They are second in the CFL, next to the Riders. So they're about 14 yards on average, more rushing yards against a game. For Dustin Crum, is there any... it's hard to build a fantasy roster now. Is there any temptation to take him? Because he does offer the chance at some of those rushing scores that are worth a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely tempting. I haven't gone with him yet. I'm not saying I might not change things tomorrow, but with when you have your most of the quarterbacks, or at least the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks, are all max price. You have certain receivers are max price. There's a couple running backs max price. Like it's getting difficult, and you have to rely on some good $2,500 value picks, which sometimes you look like a genius, and other times you just don't get any points because you shouldn't. But
we go to a Saturday where there is a doubleheader that starts in Toronto at BMO Field. The Argos are 3.5-point favorites over the Edmonton Elks. But, Sheldon, we talk about great owners, and hopefully we could get one in place in Toronto. There was one in place in the early 90s, or at least he was a part of a, ownership group with Bruce McNall and Wayne Gretzky, and that's John Candy. And The Year of the Rocket is a book that I think every CFL fan should read, but it really brings back that time. And a lot of people, like, I was a young fella at that age, a toddler with a beard, if you can imagine. And John Candy was the one member of that group that brought the passion to the Argos every week. He clearly loved his Argos. He met with the fans, and they're going to celebrate John Candy. There's a new documentary coming to Prime, I think, for Thanksgiving. Ryan Reynolds involved in it, which I cannot wait to watch. Yeah. But they're going to be giving away some John Candy t-shirts to the first 5,000 fans Saturday in Toronto. Him holding the Grey Cup, kind of an animated picture with Rocket Ismail in the back. I think I need one of those t-shirts, but celebrating John Candy on Saturday, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. I'm jealous that I can't go to see that because, I a couple years older than you, so I might have had a couple more memories maybe of Candy being there. But you could always see his passion, and I loved everything that John Candy did. Every movie, he's one of my favorite actors of all time. So it's really cool. And like you said about that documentary, I can't wait to watch it. But again, hopefully the game lives up to the theme, I guess.
Paul Woods, the author of that book, it did come out in 2021. It must have been 2021 when we had him on the show, and that's that 1991 Grey Cup. And if you've never seen it, I'll try to link the highlight somewhere up here, when Rocket Ismail and then the beer flies out at the old Winnipeg Stadium. Yeah. I think we know a guy that knows the guy that threw the beer.
we know a guy who claims to know the I think.
Should we get the guy that threw the beer on the pod? Like, it's 34 years later. I think he could talk about it now, no?
Statute of limitations has to be over. Like, I think once they won the cup, that's when the statute of limitations was over. Yeah,
if he slipped on it like Wile E. Coyote or something, that would, wow. It was pretty close, though. It was pretty close. We'll talk about the game here, and, less drama than I thought from Argos practice. Ryan Dinwiddie, with sanity prevailing, Nick Arbuckle is going to be starting on Saturday for the Argos. Chad Kelly probably going to be dressed. But, Sheldon, doesn't this change? No, I'm not in Nick Arbuckle's head, but you think the psyche's going to change a little bit. The pressure's going to change a little bit, and you have to think that leash is going to be pretty short, despite his performance of the last 6 games.
The fact that he would have a short leash is just ridiculous. Like, especially with Chad Kelly, he's had a couple days of limited practice. He hasn't participated in full yet, I don't believe. I could be wrong. I haven't looked. But, he Dinwiddie says he kept saying that, oh, he's not ready, he's not quite there, he's not quite. If he's continuously not quite there, you can't have him there within a couple of days. Like, he needs to get reps in, and you have a guy who's winning games right now. You're back in the playoff race. I just would hate to see, inserting Chad and him having some rust for a couple of weeks, and, the Argos drop a couple games and then the playoffs are gone, and all because they couldn't just go with a guy who's got the hot hand. So interesting to see what happens in the upcoming weeks. And like you said, is this pressure that's going to be put on Arbuckle, is that going to make diamonds, or is it going to, make him falter?
And this is a fascinating game because both teams coming in trending up. Something's got to break here. But hurdling Jake Herslow or jumping Jake Flash, whatever you want to call them, touchdowns in 4 straight games. 87 is one of the hottest receivers in the CFL right now, and that connection was forged with Nick Arbuckle. So the Elks defense, hey, they played great against Calgary. Can they do it again against an offense that has been scoring at will, it seems like, over the past few weeks? And these Toronto Argonauts are coming off the bye as well. For Edmonton, and we look at the injury reports, and you know what? The injury report for the Ottawa BC game is interesting as well. Jalen Edwards-Cooper not going to be playing for the BC Lions. Gary Peters, the DB, is questionable for BC. So that's why bringing in some of those DBs as signings, it all makes sense. Devontae Dedmon, he's out despite practicing this week for the RedBlacks, and it does look like they'll be able to welcome back Adrian Fry to the fold. But for the Elks, Jared Brinkman hasn't practiced. He's been a mainstay on that D-line, the former Toronto Argonaut. Unfortunately, they've had to add fullback Tanner Green to the 6-game injured list, which I think he's become, a bit of an unsung hero with that Elks team at times. Javon Leake hasn't practiced this week. He's dealing with an illness, so maybe the former Argo will be able to get back onto the field this Saturday. But an intriguing return for the Edmonton Elks is Nick Anderson, the linebacker that was the most outstanding rookie a year ago with 111 tackles on the year. He has not played since week 8 against the Riders. He could be returning this weekend for the Elks. Normally, I would say it's good to have him back into the fold, but after that Elks performance last week, I almost want to say, don't fix what's not broke.
Yeah, that's always the thing you risk when you have your backup players playing, lights out when the starters are out.
Now, I'm interested to see over the next few weeks, Cody Fajardo's going to have to build some chemistry with a new receiver. Will it continue to be Keon Julian Grant? Stephen Dunbar Jr. is on the 6-game injured list. Last week, O.J. Hilaire got into the game for the Elks, so he's been on for 2 weeks now, and he's had 7 catches over his past 2 games. Maybe it's not a very experienced receiving core right now, so Keon Julian Grant, I think he's less than 8,000 points or dollars in CFL Fantasy, and the Argos have given up yardage through the air. He just might be an option. These are actually the 2 worst teams when it comes to giving up net offense. The Elks 382 yards a game and the Argos 374 yards a game.
Yeah, so this could be one of those offensive shootouts, or, the defense just decides to show up this game.
Of course.
It's a hockey score.
And the Argos are last against the run. So, we saw what Justin Rankin did last week against the Calgary Stampeders. it feels like it could be another big game for number 5. To watch the matchup between Wynton McManus and Cam Judge, those linebackers trying to stop Justin Rankin. I think it's going to be a great show, man. Saturday, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, he was incredible last week, and I just expect that to continue. And, like you said, those are a couple of really, really strong linebackers who are going to try their best. But Rankin, he's just so fast, and he's so elusive that, might make those guys miss a few times.
Week 15 wraps up in Regina. It is Legends Night at Mosaic Stadium, and the Riders are 7.5-point favorites over the visiting Montreal Alouettes. And some quarterback news in Montreal. They're not going with James Morgan. Again, looks like they're going with McLeod Bethel-Thompson, who has come off the 6-game injured list and is set to be starting in a bit of a hornet's nest, I would say, in Regina. At this point, I don't know if I'd want to be any of those quarterbacks other than maybe Davis Alexander.
It's amazing he recovered so quickly from his ailment that forced him to be put on the 6th game 2 games ago. So he has healing power of no mortal man.
Wolverine.
Yeah. They gave Cam Dukes 1 series last week and then took him back out. You signed him for a reason. You had McLeod Bethel-Thompson on the 6th game. Like, why aren't you just giving Cam Dukes a try here? Track record of quarterbacks. He beat the Riders last season in Toronto in the last game of the season. He was the starting quarterback and beat the Riders. It's hard for me. I don't like these games where the Riders are heavily favored because I just expect them to completely crap the bed. And but I just don't see how that can happen. Like you said, the defense. Marcus Sales and Tavon Campbell haven't practiced this week, so we don't know who's going to be covering Tyson Philpott. So if McLeod Bethel-Thompson is able to find that arm he had last season, they might be able to surprise some people at Mosaic.
Yeah, that big playability of the Alouettes with Philpott and Mack, it's been gone since Alexander's been hurt. And, with some starting cornerbacks in Saskatchewan possibly missing this game, they would have to test them. Try.
Yeah, and this is honestly a great game for him to have a try because of the defense that Corey Mace has used. I will give Corey Mace credit. He has actually, I think he's adapted as a defensive coordinator / head coach. I think he's understood that more pressure is needed in certain situations, and maybe I'd like it to be a little bit more, but I see improvement, and so McLeod is the type of guy who likes to stand in the pocket and he likes to sling the ball. He does get it out of there a little bit quicker than some of the other quarterbacks too. So that D-line that's been ferocious the past few games, it's just, we're going to have to see if they can do it again.
So Sheldon, I have to throw this out here. The Riders are on bye next week.
I know. I've been thinking about that the whole week.
There have been several situations this year where a heavily favored team going into the bye soils the sheets.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't.
It's going to be a rainy game too, so
okay.
That could add to shenanigans, with fumbles and whatnot. So I have no confidence in this game, and I should have the utmost confidence with how these teams are playing.
I see the parlay, the RedBlacks and the Owls to cover.
Yeah.
Don't take my advice, okay?
I'm not. I'm saying, but that's. I honestly think that's
Sheldon. I do mean the audience. You take the advice.
Yeah, then you'll want commission.
No, you can keep the money.
Oh. But again, like, Brett Lowther went 5 for 5 last week, and I still don't have confidence that he could kick a game-winning field goal right now. So this is a tough situation. The Riders, I think a lot of us expected at best a split with Winnipeg if we were looking at it before Labor Day weekend. This team just finds ways to win as long as they're not playing a team in Calgary or against a team from Calgary. And, they've been able to just, match the other teams, and, they've had dominant starts and almost give it up. They've had terrible starts and comebacks. Like, this team seems to be built to win, but it's just they're making it so hard on themselves sometimes, and they're doing it in such different ways that it's hard to have the confidence that you should have with a 10-2 win team.
So I also want to ask you this: could the Riders have rookies starting at safety? Because both of the starting safeties so far this season haven't practiced this week, so there could be a lot of shuffling in the secondary.
I would hope if they had to go with somebody else at safety, they would just go Dalkey at safety. Because,
he's been on the doghouse since like week 1 last year.
I know. And I think he's had some penalties since then, but I think, he's that hard-hitting guy that, if McLeod is going to go deep, then he could cause a disruptor for some of those deeper passes. But that's just it right now. Like, the Riders are pretty weak when it comes to secondary. It's not that they don't have talent. It's just there's some injuries piling up, and I see the benefit, but we have like 9 or 10 like D linemen on our roster, and we have like one. Or I keep saying they have one, extra DB. And so you're trying to keep those D line fresh. And so you can pressure the quarterback. And I do love that strategy. But then, if you get 1 or 2 injuries in the secondary, you're hooped. Like, you have to then move a linebacker into coverage, and then other teams can exploit it. So it's a risky move, but again, with the amount of sacks and the lack of rushing yards against, it's working.
The Riders could have some enforcements as far as receivers go. Return after the bye. Both Sam Emilus and Kean Schaefer-Baker have been poking around practice and might be ready to go after the bye. I wonder if the Riders might commit to AJ Ouellette early and often. We saw what the Ticats did to Montreal. And that was a rainy game, right? With Greg Bell. Ran all over the Alouettes. And I wonder if the Riders might employ that strategy.
Well, they have the past like 2 or 3 games. They've actually started out using AJ a lot, and unfortunately they weren't able to get too much out of it. Like, they stuck with it, and in the second half of the games they kind of saw the fruit from that. But it would be nice to see them start with that again and actually have success and, march up and down the field a couple times early on, with that.
Arthur Hamlin has been a starting DB for the Alouettes much of this season. He didn't practice Wednesday, dealing with a calf injury. Sean Thomas Erlington has not practiced at running back either for the Alouettes. So running back is intriguing, even though the Riders have had the best rush defense in the CFL. That D-line with Mike Rose and Micah Johnson, and then also Jameer Thurman patrolling back there. They're not easy to run against, but fantasy's becoming a challenge. Building the roster, and Travis Tice has had some success this year. He's $2,500. Stevie Scott, maybe he gets some carries as well for the Alouettes. He is an option, but we've seen McLeod Bethel-Thompson stand in the pocket and sling the ball around in his CFL career before. If they're not able to, pressure him, he is a veteran guy that could pick apart a zone if that's how the Riders are going to play, with some shuffling happening in the secondary as well. I wasn't exactly ready to pick the Alouettes, but now that I realize that the Riders are on bye next week, I might drop the confidence down several steps for that game. We're going to get our fantasy lineups ready here. I am not convinced that I'm going to have the same lineup once the games start on Friday. But I got that Rider defense in there, and they're almost as much as a starting receiver should be. So I might change that strategy. They're at 11,600. Nick Arbuckle's my quarterback and captain. Spencer Brown is my running back with the Argos. AJ Ouellette is my second running back. Then I've got Jake Herslow, and I don't know, a couple flyers here. One's Brendan O'Leary Orange with the Ticats. Big guy. Sometimes he gets targets from Bo Levi Mitchell playing his old team, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And then Tommy Neild is in my flex for the Riders. I don't know. I'm not so confident about it right now, but Tommy Neild, he had a couple good showings against Winnipeg. So, and actually, since he's gotten to the lineup, he's been pretty solid. So, yeah, what's yours looking like?
We're actually pretty similar, surprisingly. So I decided to go with Hamilton for my defense, just, playing against Strevler. I don't know if there's going to be that many passing touchdowns at least given up. I don't know about rushing touchdowns, but and then I also went with Arbuckle as my captain. Running backs, I did take Theis for the 2,500 there, just so I could get some other stars. AJ Ouellette is my other running back as well. And then I got a trio of receivers that I'm hoping can get me some points. I got Tyson Philpott, I got Jake Herslow, and I have Keandre Smith.
There you go. Week 15 of the CFL season. It's you and me in the CFL Podcast Fantasy League, Sheldon.
Crazy. We may have to now change our teams drastically.
I'm looking at the standings here. I'm 5-8, and you're 7-6.
Wow! But once a jersey's on the line, you're like amazing at it all of a sudden.
Well, let's get an update on the patron 2-and-out CFL Fantasy League, because I've fallen out of.
Have you? Uh-oh.
Last I looked, I was third. Let's pull up. Oh, I'm in second now, behind Avi. Avi's currently in first place, ahead of me by 25 points. Wow. And yeah, there's other members of 2-and-out Nation right on my heels in the 2-and-out patron fantasy league. So we'll see where things go. It's going to be a race for that. I was thinking about jerseys. I was thinking about a Willie Jefferson, actually. I think I'd look good in that. Or an Angelo Mosca Ticats.
Oh man, I don't even have to think about it because I'm in like last place.
Actually, I also told my wife I'm going to buy an Elks jersey that says "Go Riders" on it.
Ooh, I like that. With number 13.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Go Riders. I like that. I like that.
And wear it every game day to Commonwealth Stadium.
Yep.
Yep. That's going to be my troll job for 2026 if I win this league. Okay, week 15. Let's lock it in, Sheldon. Doubleheader on Friday night. The early games in Hamilton, where the Ticats are 7.5-point favorites over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The BC Lions, second half of the doubleheader, they host the Ottawa RedBlacks, and the Lions, 9.5-point favorites. On Saturday, the doubleheader starts in Toronto, where the Argos are 3.5-point favorites over the Elks, and the home Green Riders are 7.5-point favorites over the Montreal Alouettes. short and sweet, Sheldon. I am taking the home squads in week 15.
And so am I. That's exciting. I love it when we have the same teams. I will say though that I do think that the Elks have probably the best chance at an underdog winning this week.
There, Sheldon. It wasn't shallow, so
no. Hopefully that was better for you, bud.
Mr. Bob Price. I think that's your name. You can rate, review, and subscribe to Two and Out in your favorite podcatcher. Visit us on YouTube. Visit the website, twoandout.ca, where you can find the link to our Patreon and so much more. Thank you so much for checking in with me. For Sheldon Jones, I'm Travis Currah. Take care of yourself and each other. Enjoy week 15 of the CFL season.
The Two and Out CFL podcast is written, produced, and hosted by Travis Currah and co-hosted by Sheldon Jones. Subscribe to Two and Out on all major podcast platforms and YouTube to keep up to date with future shows.